Sitting right next to me now, U.S. Congressman Gregory Meeks. He's a Democrat and a Hillary Clinton supporter. Congressman, it's good to have you here.
Good being with you.
So, you don't buy it?
Not at all.
Why?
By his own words. You know, there's no solutions. And you look at who he has been, what he has done, the words that he's utilized in this campaign from the very beginning. He is starting out when Barack Obama was elected president. Why was he not an American citizen, according to Trump? I think because of the color of his skin.
Do you think that there was a racial component to the birther movement?
There's no question in my mind about that.
What do you think when he swings this stick back and says, Hillary Clinton started the birther movement? Do you buy that?
No, I don't buy it at all. You know, to me, you know, when you see and you hear Donald Trump, you know, he talks and he goes back and forth, he's trying to con people. That's what's happening now. He's a con man. He conned his way to the nomination of the Republican Party.
Now, he says the same thing about your party. He says Democrats have been in control of these cities. The situations are still unacceptable in so many of them. How do you not hold the Democrats to account for what happened and give us a chance instead?
Well, look, let's look at the facts. If you look at the facts and you see the unemployment rates, for example, with African Americans, which is far too high under anybody, but still, we've been better under Democrats. See, to me, it is an insult to the African-American community saying that we don't know how to vote. When if you look at the African-American community, it always votes its interests. And you can go back from the 60s when we began to have the right to vote. African-Americans voted and votes Democrat in this particular instances because Democrats have put positions together that support where they want to go.
But the continuation of despair in inner cities, white, black, green, yellow, I mean, people who live in impoverished conditions in inner cities are living in a way that is still unacceptable. And isn't there something there for Donald Trump or for the Republican Party to make some hay out of and say, look, how can we not do better for you than they've done? Look at the levels.
I think what we've got to do, and we've got to make sure that we do more about poverty in America. Because you could say the same thing about Appalachia, that there's a huge poverty. Those are Republicans. So then the argument would be that then you should not vote for any Republicans in Appalachia because they have not done anything for them. America has to do a better job on poverty and making sure that we're preparing people for the economy that we have for today and tomorrow.
When Donald Trump says, you walk down the street, you get shot in your communities, there's been a real revulsion among Democrats when he says that. What is wrong with making a case to African Americans that they should be safer in their own communities? The crime rates are too high, disproportionately high. Why does it bother Democrats when Trump says that about African Americans?
Well, number one is because he is using the stereotypical aspects of who and what African Americans are. And that's why I said he has been playing to the individuals who want the worst out of our society. He's playing to a stereotypical image in a predominantly white audience to say, you come support me because those blacks over in these communities, they are not, they're lazy, and they have records of where he said that before. They are unemployed. They are all criminals. Just basically the same thing that he said about Mexicans when he began his campaign in the first place. The same stereotypical types of statements that has come out of his mouth time and time again about whether it's African Americans, whether it's Mexicans, whether it's Muslims. It's the same thing.
He swings back by saying Hillary Clinton called young blacks super predators. Now, they just did a fact check online. This independent organization said, you know, she was talking about, PolitiFact said she was talking about gang members in places like Chicago and how they needed to be addressed. And she said in context, they're super predators. And we're not talking about just kids. We're talking about these gang members. Why does she take so much heat from African-American leadership, even in your own party, for having said that, if she said it in that context? And it seems to be what everybody's saying about what's going on in Chicago.
Well, I think that if you take individuals, especially those that were around at that time and living at that time, because a lot of this, I think, is taken out of the context of what was going on at the time. So a lot of it, and I was just having a conversation with someone in the green room, because I believe in the Black Lives Matter. The issues that they're raising are very important. but many of them were not alive in 1996 or in the 90s, living through what was going on then to understand the context of which he was talking about, as many folks in the community. Because if you talk about Chicago, you talk about many folks in the community, they saying to enough is enough. So the new police chief in Chicago was saying that he's looking for other ways to try to make sure that some individuals who are continuously committing crimes, that they are not released. Well, we've got to redo and relook how we're doing things. Now, in Donald Trump's response, what we've heard thus far is give everybody guns. So the answer in Chicago surely is not more guns. And if you listen to Donald Trump, at least from what he has talked about earlier, is everybody should have a gun. So that's not going to be the answer clearly in Chicago or any place else. And there's no real solutions or policies coming out of Donald Trump's mouth with reference to, as Hillary Clinton, I can tell you here as a senator from New York, when she was working with the Eagle Academy to try to make sure young boys are getting a proper education. She's talking about vocational schools to give people skills. There's vast differences between the two, and I think African Americans understand that, and that's why Donald Trump is at 1%.
Congressman Gregory Meeks, appreciate you being on the show.
Good being with you.